sitting in here, I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we talking about.
But the man's in trouble. I'm gonna show you how great I am.
Cleveland, this is for you.
If you ain't first, you're last. You know what I'm talking about? That phrase.
Folks, what is going on? Welcome to the third edition of the A&I podcast. I'm one half of the podcast. This is Arden Franklin talking to you.
What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Isaiah Smalls coming live.
We're here. Hey, I got to let them know. East, South. Of course, we're aided by the man that you can't see, but you can certainly hear and feel. R.E.P. Reed in the cut. Scary as always with the knowledge and the energy. We hope all is well with everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for showing your love. And just know we have a lot of good news on the way. So stay with us, stay prepared, and stay blessed. Good brother Isaiah, how are you doing today?
Bro, I'm good, man. I am good. It's another sunny day here in paradise, you know.
How many degrees? How many degrees? Rub it in. How many degrees?
I don't even know, man. I was just outside. It's probably like 75, 80. You know, some slight. Some slight. Not too big of a deal. Not too cold, not too hot, you know.
Hey, let me tell you something. Reed can tell you, man. Hey, up here in New York, it is lovely. We got a smooth, 60?
Ooh, okay.
61? Know what I mean? It's looking lovely out here. You know,
I saw the sun for 2 days, bro. I'm good now.
Facts, bro. Like, we out here living. Hey, man, this sunset going down later is lovely. So I'm going to have fire lighting for the pod. You feel me? With the lights and the sunlight. But, hey, everything is feeling good, feeling great. We are blessed, and we are happy to be talking some sports because, man, there's a lot to talk about. And, of course, we got to start this off with the hottest stories of the week. And I have one in particular that I want to share with you guys, man, because I love history. If there's anything to know about your boy Arden is I love history. And the Washington football team made history because they hired the first Latina to fill a role for an NFL organization. The Washington football team announced Wednesday, and excuse me for my terrible pronouncing of names, Natalie Durantes to serve as its coordinator of football programs. Made her the first Latina to fill that role in the NFL. Wow. Natalie will become the third woman to have this job. What she will do, she will work closely with and coordinate schedules across various departments within the team, from medical to scouting, and she will work closely with the head honcho, with the head coach, Ron Rivera. I am so happy for Natalie. Way to go. I love history, and that is really, really dope. Isaiah, what about you?
For me, it's the fact that Gonzaga couldn't make history. You know what I'm saying? I was really looking forward to, being able to celebrate with one of my boys. Actually did like a 3-way parlay with like Gonzaga winning and the Nets and Lakers making it to the NBA Finals. And because I was around, just after the bet was placed, I was looking forward to getting my cut. You know what I'm saying? All he needed was Gonzaga to win. He promised me a bottle of tequila. So I was like, hey, man, let's go Zags, But, shout out the Baylor Bears for, putting them down. It's crazy. After the game, I started realizing that, like, there was a little bit of a racial dynamic. Personally, I just didn't see it at first because I guess I was, blinded by, I'm a big Jalen Suggs fan all of a sudden. So, I'm like, all right, cool. Like, my man's about to go take it. But then afterwards, I started hearing some of the commentators. I was like, oh, snap. They giving Gonzaga a little bit of praise. And they lost. Usually you don't hear that. But, of course, they were, had a historic season, putting up crazy offensive numbers. That team's really good. But, them Baylor Bears just got to it. Them boys just sat down in that defensive stance and made the Zags look a little crazy, man. Personally, I hadn't seen them play that out of sort before. But, there's a first time for everything, except maybe that BYU game in their conference championship. They did a little walk there. But Baylor did it, man. And so shout out them Baylor Bears, man. Waco, Texas, stand up.
But that's what makes it so funny. Because I remember on the first episode, we talked about the fact about is anybody really interested in March Madness this year? And I realized it's twofolded. I realized that this March Madness for not only the men's but the women's was not only arguably the best it's been in a while, yet figuratively speaking, like nobody watched, including me. Like it felt like one of those things.
That's not true though, bro. I saw something like the other day that said like that for the championship game it attracted like 16.2 million viewers, which is the highest basketball game since Game 6. That
I saw, and I'm not surprised because people will watch national championships for anything.
Of course.
Like I watched the national championship for college football closely as hell, and I don't follow for like 98% of the season. But what I was interested was about the fact that, again, outside of those who I know watch college basketball, it didn't necessarily have like the same hype, the same feel, the same draw where. And I know I'm sort of contradicting myself because the folks that may know me, they go, Arden, wait, like you actually covered college basketball. But there's times where the overall NCAA March Madness would usually draw me in to be like, hey, yo, I got to watch the round of 68. Oh, I need to see 34. I honestly probably watched 3 total games this year.
Wow.
I just wasn't really feeling it like that. I saw the Jalen Suggs shot on the timeline the night of, and I was like, yo, wow, that's tough. But even then, I just wasn't inspired enough to be like, damn, I need to see the championship. But of course, I'm just speaking about me.
Yeah, no. I hear you. Was it the COVID? The COVID was kind of took you out of your rhythm, or what was it, my guy?
I just feel like it was not as much. You know what it is? No, I got it. It wasn't much star power, and I guess I am one of those fans where it's like, look, unless the mainstays are in the building, I can't get jiggy with it. So when you think about, all right, Carolina got out of here in the first round. I don't think Duke made the tournament, right?
Nope. You're talking about star power in terms of like the blue blood schools, right?
Yeah, Kentucky's not in there, and also just individually, right? Like other than the homie CC and Jalen, it's like who else was a big time star? On the women's side,
the boy at USC, Evan Mobley, something like
that. Mobley. And that's what made it funny was because it was like, all right, Mobley, I've watched since high school. The homie Tiger Campbell, I think the UCLA point guard, I watched him since high school, middle school. And it was like, all right, those guys. But everybody else was like, I don't know you, son. Like you definitely had just came through this year. You worked hard. You got your game up. And you big time, and I think that's why, again, NBA G League with their initiative, cats going overseas and everything, it definitely changes the game for the NCAA because if you have any of these blue schools, not necessarily be big time, and there really isn't a lot of individual star power that could get you through the first 2 rounds, I do think it does become a tournament where really the diehards or those that bet on sports are gonna watch it. So that's why I felt like, again, it probably was the best action that we've seen in a while. But at least for me, I didn't really hear much people really talk about it the same way they did before.
No, that's real. It definitely didn't have that much hype around it, just generally speaking. Like usually I'll throw away $10 in the office pool for the tourney, but I was like, I don't feel confident about my picks. You know what I'm saying? I had Gonzaga winning in the bracket that I, really, really tried in. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, it is what it is, though. I'm happy I watched you. Speaking of the Jalen Suggs joint, like I was, locked in the first half of that game, and then I knocked out and woke up around 12 and saw like that Jalen Suggs just hit the shot that I've been waiting to see, for weeks. So I was kind of pissed about that, but I was like, hey man, like at least he hit it. Watch the highlights, and call it a day, man. Like I don't need to spend too much more time on that. Like let's see what you do in the Natty, and of course, play well in the Natty, but obviously wasn't enough. So it is what it is, though.
Speaking of new way, and I'm gonna pass this to you, Isaiah.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you hear about the innocent Tom Brady comments from his Good Morning America interview that you already know some folks will take it elsewhere? Would you like to tell the people what Mr. Brady said?
Yeah, of course. So, Tom Brady, fresh from the, Super Bowl win.
7.
It's still crazy to think about that though. Like when you think of, just I'm gonna do a quick little, detour and we're gonna get back to it. To me, like it's just wild that this man has 7 championships, bro. Because we always think of, the GOAT as Michael Jordan, like one of the greatest athletes to play of all time, and he has 6. We don't move on to Bill Russell with the 11, you know what I'm saying? Like we stop at Michael Jordan with 6. So 6 has always been like that number for me when it comes to chips. And when he got 7, I was like, good Lord, like I just don't. It's still just mind blowing to me. But let's jump back into the topic at hand. So my man's was on Good Morning America the other day, and basically, he's talking about how he, embraced the change of this new environment. That Patriot way is so restrictive, man. Like, and so I really don't blame him for leaving, but it is what it is. So and I quote, my man said, "When you're in one place for 20 years, you think that that's the only way." And I think when you go to a different place, you realize, wow, there's another way that people do things. I was a new guy for the first time, and that was a really different experience. Of course, as you mentioned, people are going to take that as, Bill Belichick is terrible and he needs to change, yada, yada, yada. But personally, you can't hate on the man for wanting to change. As I said, that Patriots way is very, very restrictive. And towards the end, that man Brady was like, "Hey, I know that you holding everybody else to that high standard, and I get it. The thing that made us so great was that everybody, regardless of whether you were Timmy Brady or the last guy on the end of the bench, hey, Belichick was gonna rip you the same. But I can totally understand how Brady, when you start getting past that big 4-0, you want something different because you don't want another grown man yelling at you like that." I totally get it. And so that's what he, I believe that's okay for him to, want that change going to Tampa. Plus, bro, it's sunny all the time down here. It's so difficult to be angry when it's sunny like this, man. Like that Patriot way, I don't get how you last that long when it's snowy like that all the time, man. Like, I get it, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what some people call real football. You got to play in the snow and you got to yada, yada, yada. But, bro, give me 65-degree weather, sunny any day of the week, and you got me on that football field like that, man. Like, I ain't touched a football in years, bro. But let that be the conditions. You gonna find me out there running routes like I'm Chad Ochocinco, man. But
hey, I like
let me
Chad.
Pass it over to you, Arden. Like, what'd you think of everything that's going on?
Honestly,
with Brady and those comments, man?
I'm in the same boat as you in the fact that, yeah, this was super duper obvious. A change was needed. And I think a lot of people can forget that the greats, the all-time greats, they always need change. They always need something new. And they live off of that, right? Like even during that same interview, salute to Michael Strahan because he interviewed Brady. It's the fact that, again, like Brady's saying straight up, like, look, I'm doing this because I love football. And I like winning, okay? Like, I'm not in the prove it point of my career anymore. I don't really need to prove anything to anybody. And I feel the same way. Ladies and gentlemen, of course you haven't been following me on Twitter. I said immediately after this year's Super Bowl, to me, Tom Brady is the greatest American winner over the last 25 years. Wow. I've said that in a moment, and I still stick by it now. So when you think about what Brady has done, yes, a new challenge is always needed. I'm going to go to a new conference. I am going to face new people. I'm going to play with a new team in midst of a pandemic with no off season. And in the process, do what I just did, all at the age of 43.
Crazy.
New is important. New is absolutely important for athletes. That's what keeps them going. I think about another all-time great athlete. I think about like LeBron, of course, right? With his changes. Like, you don't think LeBron realized more than anything why he had to go to Miami? It was the element of new. To go back to Cleveland, the element of new. To go back to go to LA, the element of new. Athletes understand the importance of new, especially when it comes to challenges. So I think people are going to have their fun with this comment, but it's absolutely best thing. And I'm actually going to piggyback off this, Isaiah, because I want to take this time to congratulate a young man who I've been a fan of for a while that just got a new start. And I couldn't be happier for him. And that's my guy, Sam Darnold. Sammy Darnold, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
In Carolina.
Let's get into it.
This is a freestyle. This is off the top of the hezzy. I forgot to add this in the docket, so I'm happy I remembered it.
Of course.
Healthy CMC in the backfield. DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. That's 2 1,000-yard receivers. I actually wrote about Sam earlier because I think this is the perfect situation for him. This is not only a new team, but they have weapons. And if Carolina understands what it means to utilize Sam Darnold in the best way possible, I think his best player comps, and I know this is going to sound random, but I think his best player comps can be Alex Smith during his best days as a Kansas City Chief.
Oh, wow.
Mixed with Kirk Cousins.
Wow.
And I think for that Carolina team, if Sam Darnold is his best version of those two, and he's only 23, and he's far more younger and athletic, watch out for Carolina. I really feel that way.
I mean, we'll see. As you mentioned, I think, the offensive side of the ball should be, in theory, totally taken care of. Robbie Anderson had a great year last year. You mentioned DJ Moore, CMC,
CMC,
we don't need to talk about
bro.
that.
99 overall.
Yeah,
99 overall.
So, I mean, it's going to all hinge upon health, one. And also, let's see how quickly Sam Darnold can get that Adam Gase stench off, man. Because, I mean, we'll see. We'll see, man. I mean, Adam Gase is not a good coach, not an NFL coach. For whatever reason, he kept getting hired, but, that's neither here nor there. He might have ruined this young 23-year-old's career. Let's see. I mean, it's difficult to erase that stench off of you, You spoke a lot about, moving to new environments, and you talked about the greats wanting to embrace a new challenge. Sam Darnold isn't a great. He's a kid. So let's take a step back.
Of course, but
we'll
you
have
know
to see.
what I mean.
Let him first beat out Teddy Bridgewater. You know what I'm saying?
No. There's no competition. Teddy's out of there. There's no reason to keep Teddy there.
Okay.
And I like Teddy Two Gloves.
Okay.
That's the homie.
Okay.
Sorry, you out of here, baby.
Hey,
we going with SD.
Isaiah, you can't be repping Miami like that and put down Teddy Bridgewater. He a Miami legend. Northwestern's
Hold on.
You think a man named Sam Darnold is going to come in? Watch someone named Sam Darnold take a Northwestern.
Let's back up. I did not say that Sam Darnold is guaranteed that starting position at QB1. I said he first has to beat out.
And I'm telling y'all, there is no competition. You're not trading that to be like, oh, yeah, let's do a QB1. No. The battle, no. Teddy is out of there. And I like Teddy Two Gloves. But he ain't doing enough last year to be like, okay, let's ride with you for year 2. They getting him out of there. You trade, 2 or 3 picks? One of them a second rounder? Oh, hell no. We ain't doing no motherfucking quarterback comp.
Hey. In theory, I agree with you.
And it's a reality.
I agree with you.
He's out.
But
he's only there if nobody trades for him. He's out, bruh.
We'll see.
He is out.
We'll see.
He is out,
What is
bruh.
it? Carolina has the 11th pick, I think?
They got a pick.
I mean,
they're up there. They're not going to quarterback.
I was about to say, they could grab a quarterback. I don't think they will. I personally don't think they will. But they could. I mean, you're right. Sam Darnold has all the tools necessary to go out there and have a great year. We'll see. We will see. Yeah. But
again,
shout out to Brady Pastures, man.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of it, man. And of course, I'm not looking at Sammy as a great, but I see the potential for greatness if they utilize him. And I think that's the thing. You can't look at Buddy and be like, look, you got to carry us. With an offense like that, there is no such thing as carry.
Of course not.
He has to play efficient yet exciting football. And if CMC is healthy, sorry, good brother, we got to run you into the ground, okay? You leading us to the mountaintop, even though I do not expect them to reach the mountaintop.
Yeah.
But if somebody's to lead them, it's going to be CMC.
I mean, we'll see. That division is scary. It's still scary. You got the Super Bowl champs. You know, you still have, even though there's no.
You think it's as scary as it used to be?
I mean, there's no Drew. There's no Drew. But I mean, still, you know, the Saints are, you know, formidable. We'll see what they come up with. They still have elite weapons.
Falcons.
The Falcons. We'll see what happens there. I don't know, but again, they have weapons too, or at least Julio Jones. So, and I always know that those, you know, interdivision matchups get a little scary. You know what I'm saying? So, we'll see. I'm all for you know, this man turning his career around. I'm not gonna hate on no man for doing that, but we'll see. We'll have to see, because he ain't really show me much in that what is that green and white, that Jets green. He ain't show me much there, so we'll see.
Your word. That's true. Again, shout out to Adam Gase for ruining a career. But in a moment. But speaking of new, Zay, new coaching changes in the NCAA.
Yeah.
Both were surprises to me. Both were relatively surprises, at least with Roy Williams.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah.
Roy Williams, Hall of Famer, 3 national championships, over 900 wins, has coached for 48 seasons, 33 as a head coach, 18 at the University of North Carolina. One of the few coaches to have won over 400 games with 2 different programs, Crazy. North Carolina and Kansas, announced his retirement. I definitely thought it surprised a lot of people, because I don't think we've heard any rumblings during the year that Roy was headed out. And for what was the least surprising development between the two, but still somewhat of a surprise, was the fact that Arizona parted ways with their head coach, Sean Miller, after 12 seasons. You know, Sean Miller has definitely had a mixed bag when you look at his tenure at Arizona, right? On one hand, they won. They were winning games. They made it to the Elite Eight, Sweet 16. They had a lot of NBA caliber guys, including former recent number 1 overall pick DeAndre Ayton. But boy, the FBI. FBI, okay?
That's real.
Wired phone calls. Assistant coaches seeing their careers be sacrificed over $10,000 in a phone call. Arizona's starting the head coaching search. I hate mispronouncing names, but longtime North Carolina assistant coach Herbert Davis was named the new head coach for the Tar Heels, being the first black head coach in program history.
Numero uno.
That is insane.
Yeah.
Isaiah, how did you feel about those pair of head coaching changes?
I mean, the Hubert Davis one, it wasn't surprising that. Okay, well, on one hand, it was surprising that Roy Williams, like, initially when I read it, I was like, he's retiring? What in the world? But then I, you know, took a step back and started thinking about it a little bit more. Man, this college basketball season was crazy. Crazy. Between the COVID protocols and, you know, I'm not surprised that this man stepped away. I mean, he's getting up there in age, so I'm not surprised. Plus, you got to basically do it all over again next year with the, you know, recruiting and all that jazz. Like, that's... I'm not surprised that he stepped away after the season. When I, you know, first read it, of course, it took me a second to be like, whoa, okay, wow. But not surprised, because I wouldn't want to have to go through that entire, you know, process again, man. Like, that's just a lot to deal with, you know. I'm sure it took a lot out of him, because they weren't that good either, you know. Roy Williams is accustomed to great teams, you know, but they just didn't have it this year for whatever reason. Now, them promoting Hubert Davis, to me, like, that actually was not surprising at all. When I read that Roy was out, I was like, oh, I mean, that's Hubert Davis. You know, when he left, I believe he was at ESPN as a college basketball analyst. When he left there, I think like 2012, it to me signaled that, you know, okay, like, he's about to, you know, possibly take that head coaching job whenever Roy steps away. I mean, if you, to juxtapose that, you know, think about what's going on at Duke. You know, you had Jeff Capel leave either last year or the year before. Most recently, another man whose name's escaping me, he just left to coach somewhere else. I mean, Coach K is staying. You know what I'm saying? That's what that tells me. Coach K is staying. And that's totally fine with me. Coach K is arguably, I think, no, he's definitely my favorite basketball coach in the college ranks. So I'm, you know, but when, you know, I'm sad to see Roy go. If I had to choose a team in the Duke UNC rivalry, you know, I'm a Duke kid. That's where I always wanted to go growing up as as a Jit. So I'm not surprised. I shouldn't say I'm not surprised. I'm happy to see him go, Roy Williams, but at the same time, I'm like, I like great coaching. I like great competition, and Roy has been on that sideline for as long as I can remember. You know what I'm saying? So, especially in terms of my basketball memory. I'm sad to see him go, but on one hand, I'm happy because, hopefully, they're not going to be that good anymore. So, but hey, happy trails, Roy. Spend some time with your grandkids, do what you got to do. In terms of the Sean Miller, yeah, I'm not surprised at that at all. My man's had like 9 NCAA violations, man. Like paying allegedly.
We gotta talk about how Arizona only did this because let's be honest, they only did this because they weren't winning the way they used to be.
Yeah,
that's the only reason why.
Yeah,
come on, more. He had one more year on his contract. Them boys wasn't winning like they used to. There was no DANs and God knows who else walking on campus. Yeah. So they gave him the boot. That's effed up. I get it, but that's effed up. Come on, man.
I mean, I hear you.
With the fake civil duty to complete.
I hear you. I think if I remember correctly, wasn't Arizona the team that was like, yeah, I think we're going to sit this year out of the NCAA tournament, knowing that like their resume wasn't even NCAA tournament worthy.
Yeah, man.
I mean, like,
are crazy.
It is what it is. They had to, part ways eventually. I mean, you can't just keep building up that many NCAA violations without some sort of, retribution. So I mean,
but the thing is, they did it. I feel like they did it because they just wasn't winning. If they wasn't winning the way they used to be, because why wait till now? Wait till now? Kansas got hit with a whole bunch of violations. They just gave Bill Self a lifetime extension.
That's because Bill Self is that guy, though. Like,
I know, but I'm saying, like, I ain't seen Kansas raise a banner in a good minute.
That's real.
You feel me? Real. Like, I remember Kansas being bounced out within the first 2 or 3 rounds for the most part.
That's real.
You know what I mean? And they got hit with violations. They had players fighting on the court. He got a lifetime extension. Sean Miller leading cast of the Elite 8. He giving you number 1 picks. 1 year, y'all win below 60 games. Get him out of here. We have a conscience after all.
Not we have a conscience after all.
Come on, man. It's silliness to me, man. Yeah, that boy won 70% of his games. Y'all gonna be like, all right, we're gonna thug it out for 1 more year.
Why though? All that fake talk. I'm saying? Like, if the NCAA violations keep mounting, like at some point it's gonna start to affect your recruiting, So why not part ways, get him out of here? You can use, even if you're totally correct that, like, that he was having a downward spiral, get him out of here. You don't have to say that at all. Like, you can't find me one person in that athletic department that's gonna say, hey, that's the reason we did it. At the end of the day, they can just use the bad season as a scapegoat. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. Also, I have a problem with paying players, but it's illegal, so you gotta do what you gotta do.
It's just funny to me, man. Y'all done sacrificed a whole bunch of assistant coaches who can't get no jobs. FBI get involved, and his brother kept coaching because y'all had a random Elite 8 appearance here and there. 1 year or 2 that y'all don't, now y'all getting them out of here with 1 year left. It's just funny to me. It's just funny.
I know. It happens, though. It does. But
whenever someone says that something's just funny to them, just understand it is never funny.
It's always real. It's always
for real. Me, it's a balance. Like, it's real, but it's funny because it's like, y'all cowards. Hypocrites. You feel me? Again, I just saw Self get a lifetime extension. If they was winning games and giving you guys more DeAndre Aytons or whoever else came through the campus, we're not reading a tweet by Jeff Goodman or whoever it was. Oh, yeah, man, they parted ways. That's another thing I don't like, too. I'm not the biggest race guy, but I'm sick and tired of all the white coaches getting hit with, they were relieved. We parted ways. All the black coaches get hit with fired. Oh, so we just relieved him, huh? All right, cool. It's funny. Now that's when I can tell you I'm tight. It's like, all right. Okay, yeah, we parted ways with him. We thank him for his contributions to the community. We took away his head coaching duties. He was relieved. You got one brother that have a bad season out of 30 years, straight up fired. Done. Kick to the can.
I mean, so if I'm looking through their record, right now, for the past couple of years. The year after DeAndre Ayton was gone, 18-19 season, they were pretty bad, 100%. But last year, they weren't bad. I mean, they had, who they have? Nico Mannion, who's in the NBA, Josh Green's NBA, Zeke, and I don't know how to pronounce it, Inaji. I forget how to pronounce that. I think he's with the Nuggets now. So I mean, like, they had pieces. Obviously, the season got cut short because of COVID and stuff, but they had potential, possibly. I don't know. I mean, obviously, this year they weren't that good. 17-9, fifth in the Pac-12. Obviously, not a NCAA tournament berth. But I mean, here's the deal. They could have at least, said, hey, you're not that good anymore. The NCAA violations. I'm sorry, excuse me. They could have said, hey, it's the NCAA violations. You got to get him out of here, man. I'm okay with that, You give him one more year of recruiting. Obviously this team didn't pan out. You can say that it's started to seep into your recruiting. And let's get him out of here. Let's start over, man. I'm totally fine with that. Let's get him out of here.
It's just hilarious to me. But, of course, for the segment that I love getting to every week with the homies, you already know the vibes, man. Hold on. It is time, ladies and gentlemen, to talk about who couldn't play. Another week, another day to talk about who couldn't play or find their way. Isaiah, who is somebody that came to mind to you? Who is your candidate for he or she couldn't play?
So this actually had nothing to do with on the floor, on the court, on the field play. This is something that somebody said. And, it kind of took over Twitter last night, but I had to bring it up today because one, it's UNC. And so I'm always going to take the opportunity to, bash them. But I think this one's a little bit warranted. And I think you know where I'm going with this. My man, Hubert Davis, getting up on stage, and not once, but twice, proclaiming how happy he was to have his white wife. I mean, my guy, all you had to do was go up there and say how happy you were to have this opportunity, that, UNC having a black coach is long overdue, that, we need more black coaches. Like, just do the simple, things. But he had to, throw in his white wife in there. And to me, I mean, okay, let's say we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt. At best, this was an attempt to make this not a color thing. But, it's difficult to do that when you're the first black coach in UNC history. That's one of those blue blood programs. That is significant. You can't extract race from that, man.
You can't.
At worst, he's just touting his white wife as a sign that he made it, which is never okay, my guy. So regardless, I mean, it's a bad look, bro. Like, to me, I immediately started thinking of the little clip from wait, what was I thinking of? Oh, that's the thing. My man's doubled out on it. Like, I couldn't remember which interview came first, because I know he had a one-on-one interview there, and I saw that one first. So I'm gonna guess and say that one was first before he stepped out and addressed the media as a whole. Yeah. And the fact that he said it twice, like, bro, why didn't anyone tap him and be like, hey man, like, you know what you just said? My man, you just said that you're proud of your white wife when they asked you about being black. That's never a good thing. Like, this is a time for us to throw out one of those rules for all those listeners out there. Man, if you're asked about being black, bro, never bring up white people. Just never bring up white people. I mean, like, it never is good, especially not your white wife. Like, bro, like, no one even asked about it. I had no clue he had a white wife. I had no clue. And now it's everywhere, man. Like, my man's really just messed up on his day off, bro. Like, he wasn't even, on the sidelines, bro. There was no X's and O's, man. He didn't mess up there. He messed up in just the pregame, the introductory press conference, and that's an L, man. You got to hold that L, bro. You gotta hold that one.
I couldn't believe that.
Isaiah, real quick. Don't you understand though? All wives matter. Come on.
This guy.
All wives matter,
this
bro.
This guy.
Come on.
This guy, Big Reed, coming through. That's a good joke, Reed. I gotta get that.
Funny. That was funny.
All wives matter.
All wives matter, for sure.
All wives matter.
Hey,
but
sure,
hey,
I guess.
Man, that was crazy to see. And as much as this wasn't crazy to really see, my candidate for this week was Masters chairman Fred Ridley. So the Masters just starting up again this year, 2021. And of course, it takes place in Augusta, Georgia. If you've been following what's happening in the world, right, Georgia is at the center of focus when it comes to voting laws because they've imposed these new voting laws that are downright wrong. And the sports world have been responding to it, right? Major League Baseball removed their all-star game from Georgia. So when the Masters chairman was asked about this, he simply said, I don't think that my opinion on this legislation should shape the discussion. And when he went on to talk about it, he went on to talk about how the typical stuff of, hey, you know, we all have our own rights and our abilities to talk about what we want. And I just can't go as far as condemning this law. This is what was said during this press conference. This is what was been written about. And I have to just get on this, man, because as fun of a game golf can be when you occasionally play it, this is a great reminder to let people know golf is extremely racist, okay? The course where they have the Masters in Augusta, Georgia, I think it took until 40 to 50 years ago before black folk was able to play a nice round of golf on there, okay? We already know what the crowd looks like. We know how they smell like, and we know how they feel like. So the fact that you can't even give an honest opinion about this law, which has things that even say you can't even feed people that are in line, bro, to vote in Georgia. They telling you straight up, you could get in trouble if you give somebody water, some chips to stay in line to vote. They taking away the opportunity or limiting the opportunity for you to even vote away from the office and whatnot. And for the fact that, again, this institution, which is the Masters and Fred Ridley, to continue standing on what they stand on and be like, no, it's not up for us to talk about this. You know, people have different opinions and we can't really speak about it. It's like, of course you won't, because you are a part of the problem.
Of course, man.
Sports and
politics are completely separate.
It's never been more separate. It's never been separate. Exactly. It's always been together somehow, some way. So yeah, that's my candidate, man. Fred, you a bum.
Hey,
a bum.
You keep it a stack there, and I'm not mad at you, man. Cause
what the state gonna do to you, bro? If you say I don't agree, you think they're gonna kick out the Masters? You think they're gonna kick out the Masters out of Georgia? What?
Never that.
Man, come on, man. That is ridiculous, and I just didn't like that at all, man.
Hey.
I just didn't. But what I did like, though, transition game strong.
Yes, sir.
Was this article I read earlier today. Shout out to the homie June Lee. He wrote this really dope article about how unwritten rules are made to be broken, how a new generation of players are shifting MLB's culture. Of course, if you follow baseball, especially the MLB, there's all of these unnecessary ass unwritten rules about the game. You can't do your bad swings. You can't stare. You can't celebrate. You can't do whatever without being ridiculed for it. And he spoke about how these new generation of players like Fernando Tatis and, Marcus Stroman and a lot of Bryce Harper and a lot of these guys, they're bringing in a new swag to the game to the point where even Major League Baseball is realizing, you know what? I think it's time to change. I think it's time to embrace the showmanship. I think it's the time to embrace players having an actual personality, because it goes back to something that I usually say for my music side when speaking with artists and creatives in the business. I call it the A&R effect, okay? The artists and the things that are typically great and have the greatest connection with the fans is because they have accessibility and relatability. Accessibility and relatability, that's the A&R effect. When baseball people and the MLB always want to figure out, damn, like, why can't we just really get across all these different people? Because you're not relatable or accessible. You think people got bats laying around? You think people got baseballs laying around? You think kids living in inner cities got nice fields to go to? Baseball's already hard enough to play. You need what? 9 people at least, maybe 7, 8 at least to play an optimal game because somebody got to pitch. You need some people in the infield, right? You need some equipment.
Yep.
And then when you think about watching the game is mainly boring. Unless you really have a close eye, baseball is a boring game. And y'all tell folks they can't celebrate, and it's whack. So that's why I love this piece before I pass this back to you, because I've recognized the fact that the unwritten rules are starting to be changed, okay? These players are allowed to have some swagger. Yes, if I just hit a bomb, I'm going to stare. I'm going to flip that bat. If I just struck you out and I'm 6 innings into a freaking no-hitter, I'm going to talk my talk like I'm Joe Kelly. That's the whole point. I'm going to act like I'm that outfield with the Chicago White Sox, all them brothers that got the nice Cuban links on.
Yep, Tim Anderson.
With the bling. Yeah, of course. That's what you're supposed to do.
Of course.
I'm going to get in my Bryce Harper bag and have the mullet or whatever and the crazy
I hope
cleats.
not. I hope not. I hope you leave that one alone.
I'm going to leave it alone. But for the kids, the kids out there, they have something, man. Because it's about, if the game isn't going to be more accessible, it needs to be more relatable. That's why the NBA is king. That's why the NFL is king. That's why across the world, soccer is king. It's accessible and it's relatable when people can see themselves in these athletes. And until the Major League Baseball gets it, and until the baseball community gets it, they're always going to be far behind across the board. Always.
No, I think you hit the nail right on the head. I mean, personally, I can totally see that you're a bigger baseball fan than me. I'm more of a casual baseball fan. Like, I'm only going to watch when it's, the playoffs. So, for me, as a casual baseball fan, what's going to attract me are these people who are not fitting the mold, who are doing the bat flips, who are, staring people down. Like, I mean, that's the thing that's going to make baseball interesting to casual fans like myself. Especially when you consider that, a lot of athletes of color, let's take baseball aside. You can look at basketball, football, soccer. These athletes, they express themselves. They love to express themselves. Let's look at LeBron. You got the chalk joint, and then, the bop, bop, bop every single time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think of somebody like Daniel Sturgeon in soccer. I was one of my favorite soccer players. That's why I got to bring him up. Like, he does a little thing with his arms. Like, black people usually, I don't want to speak for everybody, but when it comes to sports and just comes to life in general, we like to express ourselves. That's why I know the COVID situation was so hard, because I know I couldn't give my family a hug. I talked to friends, they couldn't give their families a hug. Like, we are a expressive people, you know what I'm saying? And so it's crazy when you think that, this baseball has all these unwritten rules about etiquette. And let's call a spade a spade. Etiquette, that's just white American way. Like, let's not mince words about it. Let's call it what it is, man. And so when you have these players like a Tim Anderson, like a Mookie Betts, like a Francisco Lindor, like these people that are trying to change the game, I have to stand up and applaud for them, because, I mean, this is what's going to attract me. For example, Tim Anderson. You know how I found out about Tim Anderson? When he got suspended for calling a white player the N-word. And I immediately became a huge fan. Because I'm like, yo, what? You can't even, bro, I'd be damned if they said that to me, bro. Saying a word that you can't say. I immediately thought of the Delroy Lindo clip where it's like, say it. Just say it. Just say it.
Yeah.
Just, what word am I getting suspended for? You can say it. Go ahead. Do your thing. Say it.
Just say it. Just say it.
The little point. And so, personally, I'm all for, these players being able to express themselves. When I look at, the history of baseball, the people that have always appealed the most to me, the Jackie Robinsons broke the color barrier, of course. Ken Griffey Jr., backwards hat, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what they need. If they want black kids to start playing baseball, I think the most recent race and gender report card was put black people, I think, at 8% of the players in the league. If they want more of us in the league, you have to allow us to express ourselves. I think
relatability, man.
You know, the most iconic baseball play in my mind, just because of how much vitriol this man received, was the Jose Bautista bat flip, man. That joint was fire. That joint was fire, man.
Lee mentioned it in the article because I still remember that play to this day.
Exactly.
To this day. That's one of my all-time favorite sports moments, in all seriousness, of the last 5 to 10 years. Swear to God.
Exactly. Because
that was a great freaking moment.
There was so much emotion that you could just feel. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to know baseball to know what just happened there. My man's hit a homer, got flipped the bat. And my favorite part about it was, you know, amidst like all the hate he received, he was like, man, that was just natural, man. I was just happy, you know. That's just, you know, what I just decided to do, man. And so when you think of these players, all these little unwritten rules, man, let's get that out of there. And maybe, just maybe, you might have, you know, more black fans, excuse me, because I know that there's black fans in baseball, of course. You're going to have more black fans tuning in. You're going to have more black fans, you know, wanting to put their kids into baseball. Because if you think about the previous, you know, my dad's generation, baseball was huge. But what happened in between there in the 60s and 50s, 70s, up until now, a little man called Michael Jordan, a little man called Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Dr. J. Like, these are personalities that companies could market to. You know what I'm saying? And when you take these individuals that, you know, have the swag, I think of Francisco Tati with the blonde dreads. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Mookie Betts getting GQ love. When you can start to market these individual players, as you said, relatability, man. As you said, relatability. When you can start to market these players,
they gotta go.
It'll attract people like me, the casual fans that, you know, might not be tuned in.
And even to add on what you said before we transition, it's weird because it's like, bro, if you're baseball, you have a history of your greatest moments being tied. Here's the thing, folks, I understand about baseball. Baseball has always been tied to two things. When baseball really has its moment in the sun, bro, it's either tied to steroid use or you had the star who shined bright. I think for me, in my baseball history, I think about the fact that, hey, I came in when they were motherfucking popping steroids, Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire. And then I think when I got older, oh, snap, that's Barry Bonds hitting 71 home runs in a season and him doing what he doing and then becoming a Red Sox fan because I'm seeing Poppy, you know what I'm saying, with the chains out and Manny with the chains out, hitting homers, both arms up like this, rounding the bases. It's like, that's what you want. Exactly. That's the sort of thing you need. And It's like, for a league, how come you've never realized that? Especially when you just had one of the more iconic and influential athletes in your sport. You had Ken Griffey, bro. You know how many people decided to wear backwards hats because of Ken Griffey? Wore number 24 because of Ken Griffey? Wore the sneakers because of Ken Griffey?
Let's talk about it. You
had him. You had the kid. And yeah, you guys was like, yeah, we don't like that. Let's make plays like Derek Jeter. Let's do stuff like that.
And shout out to Jeter. Derek Jeter.
Shout out to Jeter. That's one of the GOATs. But come on, man.
Yeah, I hear you.
If I was to play baseball throughout my childhood, I'm not swagger purposes. I'm not Jack and Derek Jeter at all, bro.
No.
I'm going Ken and them, man. For real.
Ken,
but shout out
Tim
to
Anderson,
Lee.
all them boys.
Yep. But shout out to Lee for that piece. Let the kids play and put more bats and everything in these hoods and these poor countries, man. At least give them some bats and some gloves, man.
Definitely.
For real, man. Definitely. Absolutely. I'm very curious, Isaiah, because as we close the show, I don't know how we supposed to have our usual MVP segment because, boy, it has been wrecked, at least for the meantime. But, hey, let's play the drop.
Oh, listen to the crowd.
Zay, I got to give it to you, man. With Harden dealing with his hamstring, KD coming back, I don't really got much to say, bro. I gotta wait till my man get back. I gotta see what KD do. So, hey, Zay, if there's a time for the Joker to take it,
it's right now. It's right now. It definitely is right now. I mean,
but wait, your boy Joel just came back.
That's what I was about to say. I don't think that his run for the MVP is as clear cut as you might think, because we do have Joel back. I mean, he dropped 36 last night, man. Like,
swept the Celtics.
Yep, I was about to say, got them boys out of here, man.
There was a crazy stat. There was a crazy stat before I pass it back to you. They said Joel made more free throws than the entire Celtics team in their season series.
I'm not surprised though. That man be getting to the line like it's his second job, bro. That's just what he does. He can initiate, draw contact, and knock down free throws. That's why his point average is, if not 30 right now, it's just below it. So I'm not surprised. Here's the deal. I mean, Joel Embiid is a better overall candidate because he's the better defender. But you can't argue with Nikola's stat line. I'm gonna say it again just because it's still so wild to me. 26 points per game. 11 rebounds, 9 assists, 43% from three, 57% from the field. That's crazy, man. He's just extremely efficient, and he can pass the ball better than most guards. Like, let's not act like
literally.
I mean, I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm not. This isn't even a limb. I've been saying this for years. Nikola Jokic is the best passing center of all time. He is. I don't want to hear any arguments about it anymore. He just passed Wilt the other day for the most double-digit assists games by a center in NBA history. Like, that man can pass the heck out of the ball. The best passing big man that I've seen with these two eyes. Just the angles that he finds, the way he can lead players. I mean, like, again, this man is just now starting to reach his scoring potential, which is the craziest part to me. I'm looking forward to see everything that he does after this. He's only 26 years old. If he doesn't win the MVP this year, it'll probably be next year. I mean, we'll have to see how many games Joel plays. And as you mentioned, last episode, the Nuggets are gonna have to get to that 2-3 seed for them for I guess Jokic's case to be solidified. But I don't see why that can't happen. I mean, I really like the Aaron Gordon trade, and they've been kind of balling recently. So I'm all for it, man. MPJ is coming into his own too at that 4th spot. Finally, they're letting him play. But it's. I mean, I think Nikola's still going to take it. We'll have to see how the Sixers manage Joel, because at the end of the day, you have to keep him healthy for playoffs. And injury history is always going to be a concern whenever Embiid is on the court. So. Personally, if I'm the Sixers, he doesn't play back-to-backs. You know what I'm saying? We'll manage his minutes because we need him healthy for the playoffs. But at the same time, I think that can, start to hurt his case a little bit. I mean, especially when you have voters that are so, so subjective, and they look at little things like that. He doesn't play, back-to-backs. No. You gotta scratch him off the list. So, I mean, we'll see. I like Jokic right now, but at the end of the day, Embiid could, go on a run and take it. But the question that I had for you, because I saw someone mention this the other day, does Donovan Mitchell have a case for MVP? I mean, I'm gonna just read some numbers. I'm not gonna, put out an opinion on it. 25 points per game.
And shout out Donovan, by the way. 914, what up?
Yeah. Definitely shout out Donovan. 25 points per game, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, shooting about 44% from the field, about 40% from 3, 84% from the free throw line. I mean, what's the case, man? Do you think he has a case or what? The Jazz are number 1 in the West too. I forgot to mention that. Number 1 in the West.
They have the best overall record in the league. I mean, I think they're 38-12, 39-12 as we're recording this.
Yep.
Nah, man. Nah, and I think it's because of the reality of he's not carrying the team. He's playing at a high level, but he's not carrying the team. They have a great team, and he happens to be a part of it. Joel is carrying Philly. My guy Harden was carrying Brooklyn. Joker's carrying Denver. Because I mean, at this point, I think even just to go back to Harden real quickly, I think for him to still win it and for me to defend him, I still got to see him be the best and most impactful player, even with Kyrie and KD. I will stake with him if that is still the case. But I think go back to Donovan. It's he's not carrying them to win an MVP award at 25, at basically 25, 5-5 will be weird.
Yeah.
I can't see that with that stat line.
I agree.
I hope he could get an all first team spot.
Oh, yeah.
But the MVP, nah.
Yeah.
But I think we're gonna be in for a great finish because, like I said, I gotta see what happens with Harden, and I will say this feels like this could be a great backdoor way for Giannis to potentially win it.
We'll see.
I think this is setting up in a way to where, do I think he will win it? No. But again, if Joel starts being managed differently and the hype around his MVP case doesn't match what it was pre-injury, and the Joker doesn't get the Nuggets until that top 3 seed, even though he has them a game back of the Clippers who are in the 3rd slot, if Milwaukee keeps on doing what they do and they're only 2.5 out of first in the East, I don't see why, truthfully, you would deny Giannis for a 3rd straight MVP. If it came down to it, I can't see why. If he gets that 1st seed, and again, Joel's MVP case just wasn't what it was before the injury, and the Joker just doesn't really fulfill the winning requirement. I don't see how you rob, and I'll say rob. I don't see how you'll rob the Greek Freak of a 3rd consecutive MVP in those circumstances. Because if he doesn't win, in that case, that's highway robbery to me.
I think, to that point, I think the more realistic. I wouldn't go as far as saying it's robbery. I think the more realistic, option is that he wins because the votes are split. You have people that still want to give it to Joel, people that still want to give it to your boy James, people that still want to give it to, Nikola, and just out of sheer people just are all over the place. You have those, however many reporters that are like, but what about Giannis? He's been doing this all year, and just give it to him. Personally, that's what I think is what will have to happen for Giannis to win it. Because, 3 straight MVPs, like, that would be very, very impressive. But it just doesn't. At what point do you start to? And I know it's a regular season award and yada yada yada. But at what point are you just saying like these are empty, numbers? You know what I'm saying? Like it's not translating to anything at the next level.
I get that, but I also think that's like the legacy talk.
Of course.
If we're still talking regular season, we gotta talk regular season. And if the brother's out here giving us 28, 11, and 6, and he's winning big games, and he's taking a new team in Milwaukee because there's a lot of new pieces, and he's making it work like that to where all of a sudden, in a more competitive Eastern Conference, he gets them to that spot, and he's just playing at that level. I think folks gotta sit down, wash their face, and get rid of the MVP fatigue. And realize, hey, look, bro, if Giannis is the MVP, give it to him.
That's right. We
can't keep doing this MVP fatigue sort of stuff and stopping cats from making that history, man. If the boy got it, he got it.
That's real.
But ladies and gentlemen, that is episode 3 of the A&I podcast. Again, I am one half Arden Franklin, joined by my other dynamic half, Isaiah Reed on the EP doing what he does. Again, you can find us on a growing number of platforms and DSPs. And again, we have some really good news coming up soon, so you'll be seeing us a lot more. And stay focused, stay blessed, and wear your damn mask, man.
Of course.
We'll talk to you later.